Hi everyone, and welcome to our next instalment of the Well Woman guest speaker series, which is a bit of a mouthful, but I love the title of it. And I'm really excited to invite our next Well Woman guest, and that is Jacqui O'Connor, who I've known a short while now, and I love what Jacqui is doing in the health and wellbeing field. It's amazing, and your journey and where you were and what you're passionate about now, I find really exciting. So do you want to just introduce yourself to everybody in regards to what do you do?
I guess it's what I be really is a thing. So I'm Jacqui. I'm 48 years young, and I guess everyone kind of wants to know your profession and stuff like that. So I've been a registered nurse for 27 and a half years. And that came about through a health journey of my own as a child. And then also being a highly sensitive, highly empathic person. And when I looked around in the world, the only example that I really saw of a direction for me was nursing. Right. So that's the direction I went. What I be and what I know now is that I went into that profession as an unhealed healer. So I'd because of the journey I'd been physically supported, but not so much emotionally and spiritually, and pretty much, pretty standard for that era. I was hospitalised and parents didn't stay the night. There wasn't health psychology, there weren't play specialists, so pretty standard. Saying all that, had an awesome upbringing, Kiwi upbringing, outside until it was dark, fireworks in the drain, trolleys without helmets, climbing trees. So pretty awesome. And it wasn't until I was, into sort of heading into my transitional life. So going from that motherhood archetype into wise woman years that, I realised that I've been trying to fit in when I was a real misfit, and just kept like crying around, and I just had such a curiosity. I just thought, is this it? Is this really it? Like, is this as good as it gets? The universe had a big detour for me. And that was 6.5 years ago, and I call it my Mack truck moment. Others might call it their perfect storm or whatever. Society calls it a breakdown. I prefer to call it a Mack truck moment myself. I was hit hard.
Right. And is that because of nursing that you was that a physical kind of Mack truck moment, or emotionally, or what was it that?
Oh no. When I do things good. So it showed up. So what I had done is I developed coping mechanisms. So in what I call my medicine bag, I had busyness, and I had alcohol, and I was a runner. So I had running, I had alcohol, and I had busyness. I heard all these, I heard the word self-care, and I heard the, meditating, and I heard all these things, but they just weren't modeled to me. And so what was modeled to me was, rest was a reward, and, have lots of people, that martyr victim mentality was a badge of honor. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm nailing it. I'm totally nailing it. I've got it. And it wasn't until I was knocked on my ass, and how that presented was I had, I was agoraphobic, claustrophobic, anorexic, panic attacks, anxiety. I really did a good job. Really good.
It would have been building up over years as well.
Yeah. So I talk about, like, I had taps on the shoulder, and I'd had 4x4 in the back of my head, but it was the Mack truck that really got my attention. and it was then that, you know, I lost all, like I lost all those three tools. I couldn't run, I couldn't access my busyness, and I didn't, the last thing I would do was drink alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really, like, actually physically literally was rocking in the corner. I'm actually not joking. I was actually just sitting there just like this, going like this. And I just thought, I just couldn't see, like, I was on this moving ball of energy, and I just couldn't, I logically, and all I ever knew was logic. I just, you know, I wasn't somatic. Like, you know, when I think about it now, and it, because for a long time I thought, you know, what a dick, like, how come you didn't know that? But you know, I went to school, and I couldn't go to the bathroom, and my body needed to go to the bathroom. I had to wait. I couldn't laugh if something was funny because I had to sit and look in front of a class.
Because you were taught to do that, or is that so? So even from a young age, you knew there was a different way of being, but you suppressed it in order to fit in. And this has been a build up over years.
Yeah, I did, and because part of my health journey was a real connection to my spirituality, and it was medicalized and medicated, and I didn't see anyone else like me, you know. I wasn't, so I was kind of like, okay, well, that's what it is. But there was always a curiosity, always. I was like, is this really it? Like, and I remember my mum saying, you know, your school days, your best days of your life. And I remember thinking,
no.
But I mean, it makes sense. You know, she married at 21 and started her family at 23. So that made sense for her at that time. Whereas I went and traveled for 4 years, and, you know, that was awesome. And then my life just keeps getting better and better and better now. And yeah, so when I was kind of rocking in the corner, I didn't know what else to do. I wanted to get off this moving ball of earth, you know, of energy. And because I was in stillness and silence, my whispers returned. Right. And my whispers would say to me, we've got you, be patient, and opened me up to a real connection to source and all sorts of wild and wonderful things. And I did look pretty crazy because I'd kind of gone from down here to all the way up here, and I hadn't been introduced to the magical mentors that taught me how to ground and how to stay you know, present in this earthly realm, as well as having this connection to energetic connection and connection to source. So I looked super crazy again. However, it was really acceptable to be kind of that low, you know, that kind of mental health. It was pretty acceptable, but being this kind of crazy lady that was high-fiving angels, not so good. Anyway, I just was really well supported with my whispers, and I just started following synchronicity, and I started discovering somatic, you know, my body, and feeling into my body and using it as a barometer, and as it was breadcrumb after breadcrumb, like truly it was, you know, which was pretty full for me, who had been fast paced, and that was when I was first introduced to energy healer, and when I first had my first session and I sat up and I was like, what is this feeling? What have you done to me? And in all honesty, it was the first feeling I've been in the parasympathetic nervous system.
Wow.
Yeah. So for 43 years by then, my baseline was the sympathetic nervous system, was fight and flight, which kind of makes sense. At 4 years old, I woke up in a surgery. At 8 years old, I had open heart surgery. So kind of, you know, I can rationalize all that now. And I got up off that table, and I remember saying to her, Sally, we've got to tell everyone about this. This is amazing. This is such a cool feeling. and that's, you know, and I was seeing a life coach at the time, and she said, like, if there's anything you could do in the whole world, what would it be? And I just said, I just want to share cool shit. I just want to share, I want to share stuff that's cool. And at the time I was sort of thinking movies and restaurants. Whereas 6.5 years later, now it's kind of like, it's, you know, it's pleasure, and it's been in joy, and it's feeling radically liberated and fully alive and deeply nourished, and it's knowing that, you know, as much as everyone was doing their best, that there is no wrong battle broken, that there is celebration and growth, and that we have this freaking amazing meat body system thing going on that actually is our smoke detector, and it tells us, hey Jacqui. And like, I have such a low threshold now, it only has to go beep, and I'm like, right, what? Yeah. And clearly I'm high energy, so I have to listen to the beeps, because I fall really fast.
Right.
But the cool thing is that I rise faster. And so I created what I was looking for, you know, like when I was rocking in that corner, I was, you know, like I felt like I must have been whispering, but I thought I was screaming, like, you know, like, show me. And all I got led to begin with was conventional medicine, so talk therapy and a prescription for serotonin.
Yep. And
I just intuitively, I just knew that there was more, and I'd come out of that talk therapy feeling worse. And of course now I know about backdraft, you know, once you go into a pussy wound and then open it up, and of course they're on like an hours and your hours up, you just walk out with all this. I'm like, what do I do with it now?
All this stuff that's just
I'm swimming up fast. And then knowing what I know now, like being highly sensitive, like I was in talk therapy, and I was walking up attics, walking up and sitting in attics where, you know, multiple people had told their stories. So I was just sitting in energy of all these other stories. So I was walking away and feeling crap. And yeah, mine needed, you know, some debribing and some clearing and some healing. But I was also picking up on everyone else's. I was like walking out on everybody else.
You didn't realize that you were doing that?
No, I didn't, because I'd never witnessed, I'd never heard that kind of language, you know, I'd never heard, you know, of protecting my energy, of unhooking others' energies, I'd never, you know, like I was from the boundary wounded generation, and I was a people pleaser and a perfectionist, and and they, like, I'm grateful for those parts that showed up because they helped me to survive. So now I know what I know, you know, I know that I'm all whole, like the full moon, parts of me that show up.
That's not me. That isn't me, is it?
I was sort of jumping around a little bit, but and then I just started discovering all these secrecies and taboos, is what I call them, you know, around our mind and body, and the energetics around it, and that there was this real opportunity for celebration.
And just like people changed around you, like when you were going through that process, did your family or your work colleagues, did they support you on that journey? Because you must have changed as a person. If you've gone from being a people pleaser to all of a sudden now you're embracing this kind of suppressed part of you. How did people like deal with it?
No, I had a lot of ghosting and real change, which was huge. It was massive. And really really challenging because I knew I couldn't go back to the hamster wheel, and I knew I couldn't do that because by then the whispers were now louder than my, the crazy lady in the attic. So so it was it was tough. Yeah, there'd been a lot of blood, sweat and tears. It hasn't been easy, but I say to people, would I do it again? Yeah, I would. I'd do it all over again.
Because you feel like you found yourself.
Yeah, I've come home, definitely. Wow. Come home, yeah, and I totally connected to self. All of that I've experienced, and this is my truth. So I now stand in my truth. And I know that I was in the cosmos and they said, who wants to do this? And I went, me. and I forgot. I came down and I forgot that I'd said yes. And I know now, like, I'm here at a light at the top of a lighthouse. And I know I've paved a way. I call it that I've paved like a roller skating way. And I don't know if you've roller skated, but it has to be frickin' smooth. Like, you cannot even have a grain on your roller skating. And I've paved that way, and supported others to feel safe. It's about safety. And when I did the high, I didn't have the safety ropes in place. And now even when I drop down, I know I'm safe, because my medicine bag is massive now, and my healing round table is enormous. It's local, it's national, it's global.
So when you say healing round table, for people who might not have heard that term, what do you mean by a healing round table?
Well, I mean, because of my my health journey, my belief that I'd formed was, that what the doctor says is what you do. And so what I mean by a healing round table is that there's no head. We're all in this together, and it's a circle, and we meet each other with each other's expertise. So I come in with my expertise, and I don't want to be an expert in everything. I want to be like, and I've found my expertise. Mine's been a conduit, connector, and co-creator. And so I would, and I always kind of take myself back to a village liver. And, I would go, right, okay, guys, we're going to see Sarah. She's all about the gut, and she's going to support us with our plant medicine. Let's go and see Sarah. Okay, right, we need this, and we're going to go down the road for that. So bringing back that village living and accessing the expert. And I see like more, so this is the vision that I see that's going to be what we adopt in the very near future. And everyone receives, like, there's not like you or me. Me. And so in my healing roundtable, and it shifts, because we
based
shift
on what you need at the time, and it's about having a team of people around you that are there to support you on your journey, whether it's a health journey or a mindset journey or whatever.
Yeah, so I say mindset and self-care is not enough for me. I need the energy in there too, and I mean, my belief that's the case for everybody. Whereas but with me, if you haven't quite caught up to that, with me, I've got the proof. I'm trust and faith in that, and I say to my clients, if you don't have trust and faith, I've got so much.
You're going to be fine.
But I started with breadcrumbs, and I started with writing down all my magic and miracles until I got to the point where my magic and miracle box was overflowing. I was like, okay, got the message. And that's what I support. I be the example for others, and that's what I always say to everyone. Use me as an example. I was a hot mess that wanted to jump off this moving ball of energy, and now, like, I'm this hot healed success that just is so freaking excited to be alive, and such a privilege to be here in this, at this given time, witnessing such phenomenal changes. And I'm excited, like, I'm like front row popcorn, like bring it on. Yeah. So so
that's your passion, really, is to help other people that are in that corner rocking, that feel like life's just crap and I don't know who I am and I don't want to be here. Your passion is to help them find their way and find themselves again. Is that?
Yeah, it is. And I just, each time someone does jump off this moving ball of energy, I just think, yeah, and yeah, I just yeah, and so the way that I do that is I focus on frontliners, or what I call carers, and our future carers. So and having been one, I know that there is, in searching, like I was looking like for what I've created, Heart Place Hospital, and so yeah, rather than be the opinion, I've been the example, and I've been evangelical, I've been an activist, and now I'm being the example. And I believe that our frontliners, so if you health, education, retail, law and order, parents, if we can get our biggest pom-poms out for them, and they're in front of our future carers, in front of our change makers and chain breakers. So if we can get them topped up to overflowing, and understanding that they have this inner knowing, like we have this inner healer within us, then it's just a ripple effect, and we throw more and more starfish back into the ocean. I believe that it all, we need a healthcare system for sure. Like if I have a car accident, my arm's flung off, I don't want to just.
Homeopathy isn't going to fix a broken arm.
I won't be coming to you. No, I won't be sending. I won't coming down to your village. And we have lots of people who start this world like I did with health challenges, and we need the system. We need that system. However, we can lay off it. There's lots that we can lay off and utilize other ways. And so much of it is ourselves, even before we go to our healing round table. So, a headache, it's pain, it's just focus on it, befriend it, find it, and take an action. And sometimes it's simply just a drink of water, or it's it's a little message from our what I call our BFGs, who are saying, actually go outside, and then you go outside and then you see something that you didn't know you were meant to see. So I'm really grateful for my Mack truck moment. It was brutal.
I take it had to be in order to stop you so that you could then move forward.
And like I say, it's a non-negotiable now. When I hear that beep, I'm like, come on, like what? and I love it. And I'm like you, I'm transitioning from one archetype to another, and I'm loving that. I just got this infound, rebel, inner child coming out of me, and and just if it feels good, I'm in. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. But I'm loving bringing back, back to the village, and back to our plants, and back to our nature, and I just I love moonbathing and watching the stars, and I'm a mermaid. I love ocean swimming. I
know. Even in the winter when it's freezing cold, I'm definitely not.
It's so weird because people go, "Is it cold?" And I'm like, wrong person. I'm a mermaid.
I'm definitely not a mermaid.
Yeah. So don't ask me that, because you won't get what you want to hear. And I'm a mum to 2 daughters, and I want them to see that adulting is cool. Adulting is playing fun, and adulting is living in abundance, and it's worth hanging around for. And I want all young people to see that. And if that means that, I have to look like a dork, I'll do it. So
So what is like with all the things that you do? You obviously did like the Heart Place Hospital, which we'll talk about, but you do a lot of work with young people as well. So
yeah,
share what you do, like how you work with young people, because some of the projects that you've got are fantastic.
yeah, thank you. I know. I'm a lot.
You do it like this, yeah.
I'm a lot. But I got to be early, so there you go. No, so what have I got? I've got period power. So the more than the absence and presence of our period, the actual power behind our period, and I'm able to journey young people and all ages really to see that, to actually look forward to their period, and see the power in it.
Yeah, listen to that, ladies. Look forward to periods. Don't dismiss them. Bring them on. Time that we.
And if I'm triggering you with that, please contact me, because I will help you love your period. There's a total magic behind it, and I can see now why they silenced us on that one. And yeah, absolutely, I will not live in peace until that is on the back of a bus. Yeah, and then vision to your mission. So other people who are like me, and it was only kind of nursing that I could kind of saw. So supporting other people who dare to care differently or dare to live differently. Yeah, I've got my biggest pom-poms out for that. Priestess school, so really looking at our feminine practices, so oils, crystals, ceremony, creativity, yeah, you name it, all that witchy poo stuff, love it. What else is there? There's Roots and Wings, which the rites of passage weekend, so a young person and a significant other, so looking at sovereignty, embodiment, consent.
That mainly females, or you work with?
Yeah, it is at the moment, but I'm always open and available. What else is there? Pause for menopause, me and you. Menopause. So really celebrating this. Oh my gosh, what a powerful transition, and of course our society is advertises as pretty brutal, and I'm not dismissing those who have a rough time. I'm just saying,
been medicalized. It's a bit like puberty, pregnancy, all of these women's life cycles and transitions have been medicalized, so to the point where we've missed out on the sacredness of it, and we become frightened of it, and it's all about the symptoms, and it's
and restoring, and returning. So really celebrating maturing, and showing up as, the hot mamas that we literally are. And yeah, sacred sexuality, so sacred nectar, and again, so the energetics around our sexuality. So the absolute, oh my God, like mind-blowing, toe-curling, phenomenal stuff. And yeah, and like I said, my superpower has been a conduit and connector, so I bring in the experts, so like yourself with Pause for Menopause and Jane Catherine, and then I have Meg with Sacred Nectar, and we're just about to do our second round of that. And I've just done some work with my interior designers with safe havens, so creating spaces that we can, we can use our ceremony and our connect with our power, and call in. Oh, amazing.
So is it like changing your environment to fit, to change the energy?
Yeah, so I've done lots of work around feng shui and energetics, and how we can, use the elements, use nature. So really simple things, and it's so often, well, what I say is that, it's around unlearning things that don't serve us and remembering. And so often, like, I do things and it's purely intuitively led, and then I can see, I get the response, I get the reward, so I know
Yeah.
And then I just
it's a lot of what you do, teaching people really to listen to themselves or listen to their soul or whatever, however you want to put it, because it's not really teaching something that's external. Everything seems to really be about connecting to yourself.
Yeah, I know and it happens really quickly, really, really, really quickly. Like I don't have to do 12 weeks with anyone. I can do real short, quick shifts with people as they say things like, I remember this, or this sounds familiar. And so I've quickly tapped into what I call the inner knowing or inner pilot, like self, truth, whatever you associate with. So it's it's demystifying the science. I'm the bridge between the science and the magic. So whatever that looks like, I'll do. If it feels like a hell yes, I'll do it. And it's easy for me, you know when they say to find something that you're good at, that you love, that you, and I found that, and it's exactly what I said to that life coach 6.5 years ago. I want to share cool shit, and that's what I do.
That's what you're doing.
I share cool shit, I I walk my talk, and I've worked micro change by micro change. I've increased my nervous system. So my nervous system's now at the point where, if I get a no, I know it's a no closer to my yes. So I keep going. So it's not like I go, oh, and then I give up. But now I've paved the way. I can actually macro change people with their nervous system, so it's not so slow. But just even understanding that, and so now for me, like I really I'm going to up my visibility. So I'm wanting to do more of this. I'm wanting to get more in the media, and I've had to get my nervous system up so that I can.
So you can cope with that.
I can cope with that, and I'm ready. I'm like, so if anyone's watching this, I'm in.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and tell me before we kind of come to an end, what's Heart Place Hospital? Because I love this idea.
Yeah. So there's Heart Place Hospital, which you're looking at now, and all those taking the boo out of taboo and putting more to done.
I like that, taking the boo out of taboo. That's awesome.
Yeah, and just seeing massive shifts in people, and just the ripple effects it has off. It's so and I'm in collaboration. I'm not in competition. So I share cool stuff. I'm cool woman doing cool stuff, and I totally love doing that. And then these Heart Place physical charity hospitals. So being a visionary and seeing having the advantage of seeing things in the future, Heart Place Charity Hospital is a centre for healing healers. So it is our new healing health system, and so I'm creating one with what I've got, and it will be the prototype. So it'll be a small version of what each community will have.
Would that be like a small group of carers in whatever that?
So what it looks like so it's residential. So you come in like a hospital. However, the vibe is boho, bohemian. So boho, rustic with a twist of class. Right. And the food will obviously be nourishing, healing food. So it's residential stay, and then there's a clinic space as well with an apothecarium. And with all fabulous people's products and whatever, all healing modalities. And when that person comes and stays, they get a menu, and on that menu is mindset, self-care, and energy, and they choose something from that menu, from all three of those, and it's like it's like a smorgasbord, and it's like an appetizer. So not only so they experience healing. So they leave healed with a healing in process. As we know, that's like continues. But also they leave knowing that with this knowledge of like, and then who's on the smorgasbord is local, national, global. So, you know, huge benefit of the last few years is we know we can just whack a screen up and we can have, you know, we can access around the world. And so, so they get an experience of that, because for a lot of people that's, you know, like for me 6.5 years ago, energy work was new, but they'll get an experience of it and leave feeling what I call careful, FULL, but also with this knowledge, like, oh my gosh, there's Sarah over here, and there's, you know, like Mary in America, and there's like people in Russia, and well, maybe not Russia, but by then, and then they and what I'm also doing is that you actually come into hospital, you come to Heart Place Hospital with a significant other, so that you don't, you know, when you go to a workshop and you take away, that's amazing, and you remember the 2%.
Yes. Yeah.
But at least then you're going to remember 4%. And you
Things might change then, because you're actually, it's kind of becomes more part of who you are and your family, rather than you going back and changing for a day and then you just fall back into the routine once it changes.
Yeah. And that, like you talked about, I work with a lot of young people, you know, we're dropping kids off for, you know, for the talk therapy or different therapies, and then they hop back in the car and you can't, there's no connection to it. So there'll be this connection, and let's, you know, like there's none of us that are unscathed, you know, we all need a bit of love. And that's, you know, me included, like I, you know, when that smoke alarm goes beep, I'm like, I check in and straight away I know who I need to go, you know, and see if I can't shift it, I know who I need to. And even to the point now where that message comes in and I'm like, it didn't even beep, you know, and then but I follow the whispers, I book in, and a week later I go, oh, that's nice. Yeah. So I want to get people to get to, you know, invest in their wellness, not their illness. And I just think, you know, like even just I don't know, like I'm talking to the converted here, but it makes so much sense to me, doesn't it? I'm like, why are we band-aiding, and why are we, you know, waiting till we're at, you know, the end of life? Yeah. So so that's the physical hospital, and it's everything I was looking for when I was rocking in the corner. Yeah.
And do you, like, with the sake, like, having come from a nursing background, do you talk to nurses and doctors, and have you found there's a shift, that there are more nurses and doctors that are looking for something bigger than what they were taught?
There is, and I don't know if I could keep up this if there wasn't, you know, I couldn't keep up this energy. But there's also a lot of victim martyr mentality, and no judgment, because I've been there, and you know, I've been blocked off platforms, and I've been, you know, I've been pretty blacklisted because of the way that I show up, but I know that I'm planting some seeds, so I've just got to keep going, and I've got lots, like I say, that I go with the glow, and I you know, as much energy as I've got, it's you know, it's for the greater good. You know, I'm a love rock star and a hope merchant, because I've been there, you know.
Your passion is like, it's tangible. I mean, we're on screens, but I can feel how excited you are about the opportunities for change.
I mean, this is I mean, I can't fake this. I'm in love with my life. I love it. I love it. And even when the shit hits, you know, I just literally turn it into manure. I'm like, okay, what now? And I know that our world is screaming out, you know, for change from this chaos. And there's no going back to normal. Fun fact, there's no going back to normal.
Everyone, there's no going back.
So
Let me tell you, but bearing in mind where you're at now and how much your loving life and you feel like that you are your true self, like, what would you say to your younger self before they've even gone on this journey? Is there anything that you would say, hey, that you need to know this? This would say, this would, or like, this would save you some pain, even if you didn't listen.
Yeah, great question. It's tricky now because I think, like, from our era, we, you know, like I look at my kids, our kids, you know, they're so connected to the world through internet, whereas we didn't have that connection. You know, it was literally your next door neighbour. I think pretty much what my whispers said 6.5 years ago, you know, we've got you, hang in there, be patient. And then the whispers started, you know, follow the breadcrumbs. Yeah, follow the breadcrumbs. And then the whispers, you know, a couple of years ago said, get ready. And then this year, the whispers started saying, it's your time. And it's my time, you know, 48 years young. And
So it's almost as though, like, there's a journey that you had to go on, and that you couldn't tell your younger self something that would have stopped you going on that journey, because that journey was meant to happen, because if it didn't happen, you wouldn't be where you are now. So if anything, it's about, know that you're on a journey, know that things are happening, like, for you, and go with it and listen to those messages, because they'll guide you. But just know everything is as it's meant to be, and don't sweat it.
Yeah. So making sense of my life makes sense to me now. Yeah.
Because you can look back and see that synchronicity.
Everything has come up, and it comes up again, and it comes up, and I'm like, of course. That makes so much sense. And that's, you know, I notice what I'm noticing, and yeah, like, notice, like, even now, you know, right now I'm like noticing what I'm noticing, making sense. Yeah. And so when it was, you know, be patient, I didn't, patience wasn't my virtue. I was like, fuck that, I'm busy, come on, I want action. Whereas now, yeah, I notice what I'm noticing, and I'm loving the journey. I really love the journey, and it's a roller coaster. And sometimes I'm holding on like this, and sometimes I'm holding on like this.
You've got to ride it regardless.
Yeah, we do. And it's back to community, you know, it's going from the me to the we. You know, we've been in a real paradigm of you or me, and now I believe it's you and me.
Which is what everything that you're doing is really about, creating community and bringing people together. And
it is. And so everything that I do for me is for the we.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, every time I rest, every time I saltwater swim, every time I, you know, invest in my own healing, every time I put my lipstick on, every time I have a sauna or a spa, or every time I eat, it's for the we. I can't wait for those who have seen that it's been for them, for me, to, you know, to see that I've blood, sweat and tears for the way, because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for we.
So you're providing what you knew you needed at that time. You were rocking in.
Yeah, I so, and I made the oath to growth, and I said I'll do anything.
Oath to growth. I love your little white liners. They're really cool.
All channeled.
I like that. Oath to growth.
Yeah, and once you pop, you can't stop. Sometimes I'm like, enough shit already. Keeping the manure. And I think a really important lesson is do everything without any expectation. You know, like, I put out lots of offers and opportunities, and they don't come to fruition yet. So, and no one's like, well, even if they are, it just slides off me, but no one's kind of going, well, she's failing. They're like, oh, they're probably going, what next? What she got now? And there's, buckle up, there's more to come. There's more to come. And I don't do it alone. I don't do any of this. This doesn't show up. Find a magical mentor, find a million magical mentors. And every time, use me as an example, every time I invest in my biggest asset, me, I receive back again. So it might not be from there, but it's reciprocity, like I lift someone else up and then someone lifts me up. So so no more bullshit sister wounds. Let's get over that one. There's room for people at the top now, and I saw Marianne Williamson a couple of weeks ago, and she was like saying, patriarchy's had us for thousands of years. Don't let it have us for another day. Let's lift each other up, and there's room for all of us up here, and I'm going higher. I'm going up. I'm going further. So yeah,
I can't wait to see the journey. I think
I know. I'm like big popcorn, front row seats, gold class. I'm like, yeah.
If anyone like listening to this just feels like, I'm in that corner, I want to reach out. I either want to come to the physical hospital or I just want to talk to you. How can they contact you? I mean, how can they find out more about, how you
on the usual places, Instagram and Facebook and Heart Place Hospital, or come to my, it's supposed to be private Facebook, Jacqui O'Connor. I'm public there as well. I'm on Instagram, heartplace.co.nz, and LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So Jacqui O'Connor, or up at Heart Place Hospital there too.
Okay.
And then my charity page is opencollective.com/heart-place-charity-hospital.
Right.
We'll make that a bit simpler one day, but
that's cool. So I'll put the links in underneath so that people can go and is that for like donations? People can donate to support.
So donate, yeah, and you'll see I've again everything. I dare to do everything differently, so just go with it. So I've done it as an assurance, like assurances, and it's careful, heartful, selfful, mouthful. And you can be part of what I've already created, but you can also be part of caring for our carers, healing our healers, and our future healers and carers. Yeah. Buckle up. It's gonna be fun.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and it's really inspiring, and to see your journey. And I mean, it takes courage to live. Sometimes it takes courage to change, and it takes courage to listen to your messages and become who we're meant to be, because we know, like you said, you're gonna lose people on the way. And that's scary, but actually when we then see what you're like now and how you shine, and you shine, so that's the light at the end of the tunnel is you.
And that's like, there's not a saturation of us, there's a saturation of people looking for us. Trust me, because I was one of them. So if you're interested in daring to care differently, like I am, like I've got my biggest pom-poms out for you, because seriously, like there's not a saturation, but there's a saturation of people looking for us. So come aboard. and I have people that I mentor and who deliver my programs, and they receive too.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate you giving up your time to talk to us today.
Oh, well, I appreciate you, Sarah. Back at you.
Thank you. Okay, see you all later on.